Good morning, students, and Jai Hind, and welcome you all back on online classes again after a very long time of enjoying your holidays and a very penetrating times and the exhaustive time that was the half-yearly examination, and after that we are meeting again and again, and we are just hope we shall meet in our just physical classes in school also, and students, that is the very mixed experience of the just fears and happiness. Understand, both things are the together, and the fear of the virus is now walking besides, and the happiness of the just coming at the school is the either side, other sides. So we have to be the between that very carefully. We have to now the resume our further classes, and we have to be the attend our classes with you or students now. Before after the half yearly examination, we shall start a new chapter, or this is the natural that we have finished the earlier chapters and our three orders, as I taught you about the, and particularly I focused on the European history. And now the chapters which I am going to unfold before you today is the name. The chapter is the here, the changing cultural traditions and and the the Renaissance, means the revival of the old traditions and the old text and the old knowledge. Understand? So, students, this chapter is also particularly devoted to the European continent. Understand? Or as well as it is the aligned with the or on its impact. The things the chapter I am going to teach you about the Renaissance and about the beginning of the new world, new modern world, and now and goodbye to the old traditions and the medieval traditions, and now adoption of these chapters now is the adoption of the new world. The what the new world? World of argument, world of world of religion, world of science. We are going to enter through this chapter. Now, one thing is that how this world of science, world of reason, world of intellectuality, and the world of the world of this Renaissance and the new world and the modern world began. How and where? Understand now, students. We know that after the downfall of the Constantinople, we know very well that which was the uh, uh, capital city of the great and the vast Roman Empire, Eastern Byzantine Empire. Its capital city was the Constantinople, and this Constantinople was the hub of art, science, and architectures. Understand? And how about that? Intellectuals hub. Understand? But the barbaric Turks, Seljuk Turks now, they attacked, invaded upon this Constantinople, and they captured in 1453. Understand? And this 1453 now brought about a major change, a drastic change. Now this now revealed a new science and a new world. How this happens? Now a large number of intellectuals who had been rooted out, who were the very horrible, very afraid of these drugs, barbar tax attacks, and escaping their life and the execution, mass execution, they escaped from there. And then after, they now came, particularly in Italy, in Rome. And moreover, the rest of these intellectuals now, they moved towards the other countries of the Europe. And where these intellectuals, as they came, now they begin to discover their own culture. And now we know very well that the European culture and European science had been flourished on the and had been the flourished in the cradle of the Greek and the Roman culture, ancient Roman and the Greek cultures. Understand, these scholars now again revived and begin to revive the old cultures, and the old text and classics begin to be studied. But their studies, understand, or their with their now scientific angles, with their argumentative everything, they begin to find out and begin to discover, understand everything. They started discovering with their with their with their scientific angles, with a very questioning eyes, with a curiosity and the questioning eyes, and try to find out the new things, understand, or before the, and as a result what happened, everything's the way of life began to be changed. This renaissance now started or inculcated a new shift, a new human minds, a new human culture, a new human mind. And before the advent of the Renaissance, before the revival of the old traditions, the people believed in the Christians, Catholic Christians, a fictitious story. And as the people began to study the new things, started the questioning, started the argument, started the experiment, started the observation, and their new observation, their argument contrasted with the old knowledge. And old, whatever they had the knowledge, they had been the imparted the knowledge by the Christianity, by the Christianity. So this Renaissance was the revival of the old cultures, old Greek cultures, Roman cultures, and this now opened a new eyes, gave the new eyes and new thoughts to the human being. And right from there, the people began to see the world in a different way. And what the different way was? Different way was the human science, development and the growth of the scientific mind and scientific temper. And from there, the science supposed to be the beginnings in this world. We are in the age of the modernity. But that modernity is gifted, have been the gifted from the Renaissance. This Renaissance now opened eye. And now, before the advent of the Renaissance, dear students, before the advent of the Renaissance, what was that? Before the advent of the Renaissance, understand, people believed in the old traditions, believed in the world beyond this world, about the heaven and hells, what the Christian scriptures told them, what the Christian scriptures, fictitious scriptures told them. They believed blindly in the spirituality or in the God, whatever the Christians say, scriptures told them. But after that, they questioned the things. Understand? So students, and moreover, one thing is that they believed on the spirituality before the advent of the Renaissance, but now they begin to believe and discover the potentiality of the human beings. Before that, it was told that this world had been created by the God and by the divine. This is the divine gift. But no, after the Renaissance, they believed that no, this world had been created and the gifted by the heart and the great huge toil and moil. It is the resulted the human beings, what the human being they worked for this, and they had created potentiality of the human beings began to be there. Or the human being, not the God, not the beyond this world, human being began to be the emphasized. Their potentiality began to be the emphasized. So, my dear students, so now in this chapter, or this renaissance, or the new outlooks, or the new way of the thinking began or started in all walk of the life, either the science, music, dance, art, architecture, political system. So, political system, economic system, all these systems were under in a transitional phase or a new in the formations of the new world, new modern world. Understand? So now students we see that all the different scholars, the men of the leaders, they contributed a lot in this field, in all walk of the field, in the science, in geography. And now this phase to which we are going to study is right from the 14th century to the 17th century. This is the transitional phase. What the transitional phase happened in political system, a republic and democratic attitudes, and the building of the nation states, or decline of the feudal system, emergence of the new cities, new towns, big towns, understand, or a new geographical discoveries, discovering the whole world, understand, finding out the new routes. Okay, so now a huge process and the making of a absolute nation, understand, and breakdown of the feudalism and the and absolute kingdoms and the absolute political system emerged, begin to emerge. The students we can see that this world, understand, or Europe saw or experienced an outstanding and excellent way of life during this period. At this transition, and now an ultimate impact of this. Now the entire world is still experiencing and trying to experience. Understand? In political system, what the phase changes came about in Europe. In economic system, what the tremendous development they made in science and technology. They made the advancement. That was the reasons that the Europe, no doubt, uncontrasted or unrivaled, made the growth in all aspects of it. And this was the gift of the Renaissance, which gave a modern way of the life, a modern thoughts to this world. Understand? So, as students now, you would first of all, and this was the introductory. Just and one thing is that how this science and the world and the economic and political systems was experienced in the other continents apart from the Europe. Now, this science and technological experience, technological changes experienced in the different parts of the world was by the colonialism and imperialism. Now we know that they made the tremendous development, and the further it was added and more fueled by the industrial revolution. The huge amount of they had the Europeans through their geographical discoveries, and on the other hand, they came closer to the rest of the world. They established their connections and their relations their their economic and commercial relations, and as or as well as economic, commercials, and cultural relations established. And then the Europeans, what the changes were happening in Europe, understand that changes, understand, were experienced and carried away and carried out by the Europeans in the rest of the world, where they were making their contact for the trade and commerce. Their cultures began to be the dominant in Asia and the Africa, where the this kind of the developments had not been the experienced so far and not been the happened so far. Understand? And it was the reasons that was the reason, the in the industries, in the economic point of view, in the inventions point of the view, understand, the arms organizations, their organization, their political system, in all way they now dominated over the rest of the world, where they went and established their colonies, like the India, the British, and the French, or Dutch, or Portuguese came here, and they, no doubt, they had a superior system. They had the superior. They had with their superior arms, ammunitions, and scientific knowledge. They had come here, and the developments. So now, students, these are the now this so as we came with the contact of these Europeans, to show their dominant cultures, their economic cultures, their now begin to be the experienced in the rest of the world, where in the Asians or in Africa, or the other parts. Understand? This is the reasons that, and now, or that was the experienced, or the connectivity, the connections, or their closeness, which now brought about the new world and the new culture. The students here, we are going to the period now from the 14th to the 17th century. I said that it was the period of a significant changing which were the happening in the Europe. Understand? This changing, what the first of all, we shall see the urbanization was going on. Understand? Now, the certain cities of the Europe, understand, and particularly certain cities of the Italian cities were emerging and they are now flourishing. The new cities and the trade and port cities were flourishing, like the Florence, Italian towns and city, Florence, Venice, Rome, develop into the important centers of the art, learning, and the trade and commerce. These centers, and moreover, the invention, or in the meantime, there was one thing with that which was happening in the Europe also, the invention of the printing press. Understand? We know very well. I suppose that Germans, Gutenberg, now he invented the printing press. Now this printing press now help in the expansion of the intellectual, or shaping the new minds, shaping the intellectuals or the minds. Now the scriptures, the writings, understand, scientific writings or political writings, religious writings began to be the spread and reach out to the even to the common man's. Or that common man, by going through in these scriptures and the printings materials, imbibe their mind with the knowledge, with big knowledge, great knowledge. Understand? And became the very argumentative, became the very intellectuals and the argumentative, and a sense of the or this and as these their intellectual, or expansion of the intellectuality, these people, the new modern people, begin to started contrasting with those of the old notions. which were based on completely the based on fictitious knowledge, based on the hearsay, based on the no, not based on the those where those knowledge of the ancients were the not based on the scientific knowledge, and the influenced or this new knowledge, emergence of new knowledge, influenced the entire humanity, entire the rest of the people who were living in different parts of the world. Understand? Here, students, the Renisha I just Renisha means the revival, rebirth. It means the rebirth of the old knowledge. Old knowledge means now we are the discovery of the old knowledge means the Greek knowledge and the Romans knowledge. This was the discovery of the Greek knowledge and the Roman knowledge. And here the Renaissance, this is the French term. This term has been now revised, taken from French terms, and it means the reawakening. Reawakening means the awareness, be aware, reawakening, rising, arising again. Understand? Means the old cultures begin to be the studied with the new angles and the new eyes. And the Renaissance was it was not a religious or political movement. Now one thing is that this Renaissance was not a religious and the political movement. It was a cultural movement. We can say this was a cultural movement, and the now and the movement and all originated, and this movement is particularly originated from the Italy. I have already mentioned that a large scale, understand, intellectuals who had been attacked by the Seljuk Turks in 1453 in the Constantinople, they migrated from there, escaping their lives, okay, or the execution of the Muslims there. They now came and gathered in Italy, or particularly in the Rome, or against this intellectuality or the began in the Rome, then after spread in the some parts of the France, England, Germany, or this and as such was a cultural movements help form a new Europe on the basis of inspiration derived from the ancient Europe. And this was the inspiration. This inspiration has been derived from the ancient Europe, derived from the ancient scriptures of the Greek scriptures, Roman scriptures. On that basis, this knowledge had been this knowledge had been built. Understand? Or students, moreover, ancient Europe, we know the thinking of the common man, masses underwent a great change because of these new intellectuals movement, a new cultural movement. Understand? The thinking, way of the thinking of people completely changed. I have already mentioned the masses thought and their thinkings completely changed. This underwent a great changes in several European countries. Understand? And now influenced. It gave birth to the power of logic. I have already said that. This Renaissance and the revival of the old knowledge and reawakening gave and now gave a new power of the thinking, power of the logic, reasoning, inculcated the power of reasoning, power of logic among the people, among the masses. So everything, whatever they have to grasp, they have to grasp it. Understand? They before the grasping anything, before the accepting anything, you can say in the other word, they begin to argue that whether this is the acceptable or not, whether this is the just or unjust. On that basis, now they begin to accept anything. The concerned people now begin, common people begin, assign more importance to the promotion and now the preservation of the moral values in place of the spiritualism, and the people began to give the emphasis more on the moral values rather than the spiritualism. Understand? They, I have already mentioned that human behaviors, they begin to emphasize on the human being's potentiality of the human being, not on the potentiality of the God beyond this world. No, understand? Or spirituality. They now their inclination towards the spirituality, towards the fictions drew away. Understand? Or moreover, consequently, the period witnessed a growth of a new tendency, a spheres new tendency of the new literature, religion, philosophy, politics, art, science. The Renaissance emerged in Italy during the period of the 1300 to the 1550 AD. Between that, this Renaissance period, it is not a year or that, a long span of the many 2 or 3 centuries that took for this transition. This transition took the time of the 3 centuries now, and started spreading the northern Europe in the first half of the 16th century. And this kind of the Renaissance, this kind of the intellectuals movement now experienced and perceived by the different people, by the different parts of the European people. Understand? By the 14th to 17th century, between that, the this movement now began. One thing is that, first of all, students, we shall see that I have already mentioned that the first reason and the causes, if you discover in the behind the Renaissance, beginning of the Renaissance, was that the intellectuals were seated in the Constantinople for a long time, and this why Constantinople was the hub of the intellectuals there. Understand? So now they attacked the Seljuk Turks in 1453, attacked on the Constantinople, and because of that, these intellectuals, understand, of the Constantinople, understand, they migrated, they escaped from there, understand, and took the shelter in the Rome, where the and the in the Rome, and the interest in the Italian ancient, and these intellectuals took the interest in the Italian old literary works, Italians Roman works. These intellectuals took the interest of the Italian in ancient Greeks and the Roman literature started growing because of the interaction with these artists and the scholars. The Roman cultures, ancient culture was revived. The Greek ancient culture was revived. These artists or the intellectuals, understand, they now they begin to develop these old cultures, but these cultures were studied with the news outlooks, with the news views, that was the views of reasoning, views of intellect, views of the argumentative views, and the views, and it spread to the other parts of the Europe as well. Or scholars became the now instrumental for the growth of these. Second thing is that decline of feudalism. Students, I have already uh, taught you a lot about the feudalism. So now, by the 14th century, feudalism began to break down. Understand? And because and feudalism, you know that this was a stagnant system for right from arising from the 9th century to the 14th century. The feudalisms now dominated in the Europeans' way of the life. Understand? But by the after the 14th century, the feudalism began to be the breakdown. Understand? Feudalism began to break down, and as the because the feudalism now was uh, uh, now proving and the becoming as a hurdle in the way of the in a hurdle in the progress. In the hurdle in the progress, feudalism was now creating a great hurdle because it was completely based on the old orders, old notions. That's why as the feudalism began to break down, this created the atmosphere of the freedom and the free thinking. Understand? Now, as the feudalism became weakened in the Europe, the people's common man, even the poor, began to be the feel very relaxed and began to the started the feeling the sense of freedoms came in that, or the free thinkings now opened in their minds, and nobility, mass got opportunity to live in a peaceful and the free atmosphere with the downfall of this feudalism. The masses. And moreover, the 13th to 14th century, it resulted the intellectual growth, and this free thinking, free atmosphere created a ground for the intellectual growth in the Europe. And this resulted intellectual growth encouraged the new artistic literature, scientific, philosophical progress. Understand, students? Now the rest, the time is about to up, students. That's okay. Thank you for attending the class. Understand? And the rest of the topic I will continue. Understand? Thank you very much.